Welcome to All Ages Driving School. I'm Mr. James, your teacher. Today we're going to be going over the road signs knowledge test. So buckle up and get ready to learn. Welcome students and YouTube viewers. If you're new to this YouTube channel, All Ages Driving School, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification. That way you can go ahead and get all your driving instructional needs on videos on demand, anytime, anywhere. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off at the All Ages website. Now, if you live in the Houston area, you got plenty of locations near you. But what we're going to do is we're going to go up here to resources. In resources, we're going to be working out of the DPS handbook, and we got a copy for you right here for you to use. Now, the road signs knowledge test is strictly all of chapter 5. So if you look at chapter 5, all the different signs that you're going to see there is exactly what you're going to see when you take that road knowledge test, or the road signs knowledge test. So let's go ahead and skip down to chapter 5. Quickly get through here. Alright, so chapter 5. Alright, now chapter 5, if you have a DPS handbook with you, you can look at page 28 in the newest edition of the DPS handbook, which is good for 2019. So here in chapter 5, you'll find everything that you need. Now let's go ahead and start off right at the beginning. Traffic signals. So what does a red light mean? Red light means pretty easy. If it's a solid one, it means stop. Now, if it's a flashing red light, you also stop, but you treat it like a four-way stop sign. Now, the difference between a flashing red light and a steady red light is the fact that a steady red light eventually turns green, whereas a flashing red light doesn't turn green at all. So you have to treat it like a four-way stop sign, which of course you follow the rules of yielding the right-of-way as you approach it. Now, a steady yellow light is a lot of people think it means slow down, or in some cases speed up, but it's more or less a caution light. This is let you know that the light is about to turn red. Now this is real important, because wherever you are in relativity to that light, you have to make a decision. Are you past the point of no return? Are you able to stop safely? Right? Because if you have a big 18-wheeler behind you, or if you have wet roads, slamming on your brakes to pass that light, or to stop at that light, may be more dangerous than simply just going through the yellow light. But a lot of people, of course, they get concerned about running a red light. But you have to understand, well, when do you officially run a red light? A red light, you officially run it when any part of your vehicle is at, or on, or behind that white stop line at any intersection that you approach. So you got to be real careful. It's caution when you approach that yellow light. So you really got to make a decision. Am I past the point of no return, or is it safe for me to stop? All right. Flashing yellow light. Now this one actually has a very specific meaning. It does mean slow down. Anytime you see those flashing yellow lights, it means that you need to go slower than normal, usually below the speed limit. And of course you see these in school zones, or as you approach interchanges between, let's say, I-45 and I-10, you feel that big ramp, you're going to see those yellow lights flashing. And with those yellow light flashing, you definitely got to slow down. And usually you'll have an advisory speed that goes with it, telling you exactly what miles per hour do you need to slow down to in order for you to actually not hit that wall when making that turn, or if you're actually in a school zone when they're letting kids out. All right, steady green light, pretty easy, means go. Now, what if you're at an intersection, you're in a turn lane, and you have a solid green light, and you want to make a left turn? Well, in this scenario, you're definitely going to have to wait and yield the right of way to oncoming traffic. But if you have a left turn arrow, it just simply means that you have a protected left turn. So a lot of times you'll see a red light with a green arrow, meaning all other traffic has to stop. However, you have a protected left turn, but you still have to yield the right of way to those in the crosswalk and other cars that are in the intersection. All right, so let's go down here to to the different colors that you're going to see in a sign. You're going to see all types of colors. And each one of them, of course, is going to tell you a very specific thing about that sign. Same thing with shape, because if you're colorblind, well, you still have the shape of the sign to kind of help you determine what that sign means. So let's go ahead and go over the colors real quick. Red, of course, means stop, or means prohibited, like wrong way, or do not enter, and of course your stop sign. Now the green sign is your destination sign. It's your guide sign. You see green signs, of course, right above stop signs, let you know exactly where you're at, what street you're intersecting. A lot of times you'll see a green sign as you're driving down the interstate traveling, like for example, San Antonio, 180 miles. From that sign, point A, to San Antonio, point B, is 180 miles. Now exactly what is point B? Well, point B, if you go back to civics class, point B is exactly where the city courthouse is. Because anytime a city is started, they have to have that building in order for that charter to be approved by the Capitol. So that courthouse is point B anytime you see a distance sign telling you how many miles away you are from a city. Blue signs, these are by far my favorite. Lets me know if there's a Waffle House at the next exit. Now, of course, these blue signs are your guidance signs, and you see a lot of these on the freeway. Of course, you also see them with hospitals, let you know, directing you where the hospital is, but mainly you'll see them on interstates, because there's three things that you need in order to sustain a long road trip. One is, of course, you need food. Two is gas, and three is lodging. So those three things are going to be on your blue guide signs as you go down the interstate and you're traveling long distances, because there's going to be times you're going to be traveling. Let's say you travel from Houston to LA. There's going to be times where you're going to have an exit, but that exit may not have gas. And if you're running low on fuel, the last thing you want to do is waste time taking an exit that doesn't have those services. So these guide signs let you know that the next exit has those services for you to use. All right. So yellow is by far your most abundant signs you're going to see out there. These are your warning caution signs, and of course, you know, diamond shaped is going to be the ones that you see, and of course black and white are your regulatory signs. Now anything that you disobey from a black and white sign, usually it follows with a ticket. So like speed limit is going to be black and white. Things that tell you what to do or not to do, like for instance, no right on red, can't turn from shoulder. All these things are going to be in black and white because it's a regulatory sign. Orange signs are your construction zones. Your brown signs are, of course, your recreation and public places, guide signs, things like that are scenic routes. Let's go ahead and take a look at shapes. Now, shapes, of course, correlate with the color of the sign. But like I said, if you're colorblind, you still have the shape to kind of tell you exactly what the sign means. So an octagon shape, that's exclusively for stop signs. Anytime you see an octagon shape, you know it's going to be a stop sign. It's not hard to miss. It's easily recognizable, and we also shade it with the stop sign. Horizontal rectangles are your guide signs. Like I said, like the blue signs, or even your green signs sometimes will be horizontal rectangles. Vertical triangles, or excuse me, equilateral triangles are exclusively for your yield signs. Your pennant-shaped signs are your no passing zones. And of course, diamond-shaped sign is your warning hazard sign. And I really want you to pay attention to this diamond-shaped sign, because you may be looking at a test and it'll just show you a shape of a sign. And that sign, of course, you have to determine, well, what does that shape mean? And of course, anytime you see a diamond-shaped, it definitely means it's a hazard warning sign. Same thing with vertical rectangle. You may also see this sign on your test. If you see a vertical rectangle, it definitely means your regulatory signs. So anything that's going to be vertical rectangular, like your speed limits, this is going to be your regulatory signs. Of course, pentagons are your school zones, and circles are your railroads. All right, so now that we're in the signs section, the test that you're going to be taking is 20 questions long, and it's multiple choice. It's not a very hard test, but you could fail it if you don't pay attention or you don't take time to recognize and know certain signs. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and tell you signs that are most commonly missed, and that you may actually see on your actual road test. The first sign I want you to take a look at is your low clearance sign. I know it looks self-explanatory, but right here, low clearance, this is basically what you see as you approach an underpass. It'll let you know how many feet in inches you have to clear it. So if you ever saw the movie Hangover 3 with the giraffe, yeah, he didn't have enough clearance for that giraffe to make it. Alright, so what other signs that are going to be important for this test? Right here is going to be your right turn arrow. Anytime you see an arrow like this is a 90-degree turn. Okay, so this is what we call a sharp turn. So road ahead makes a sharp turn in the direction of the arrow. So in this case, it's a right turn. So what you want to do is you want to slow down, keep right, and do not pass. Another sign you may see on your road test is this one right here, the winding road sign. It just basically looks like a squiggly line of an arrow going straight. It's let you know that there's a winding road ahead. Drive slowly and carefully and do not pass. Let's see here. This sign right here is slippery when wet. You see the marks of the tire as it kind of seems to skid and get out of control. That's basically what it means. That's the danger of you're about to experience if you don't slow down as you approach that red road. So slippery when wet. This one will let you know that you're on a two-way road. This one right here, this bottom one, is going to be a sign that you're more likely to see on the test. This is a reduction in lane sign. It lets you know up ahead there's going to be a reduction in lanes, and then usually it'll show you which side or which lane is going to be reduced. So in this case, the right-hand lane is going to be eliminated, and so you want to go ahead and change lanes to the left. So it gives advance notice of a reduction in number of lanes on the pavement ahead. All right. So as we keep going, T intersection is pretty self-explanatory. Now this one right here, I've seen on several tests for the road signs test, is the Y intersection. Now Y intersection, of course, it's easy to recognize. It looks like a Y, but a lot of students get this one wrong because on the test, you may see something similar to saying, like for instance, side road traffic to the right. And so when you just see a Y, it goes left and right, but they're not understanding that you have to watch for side traffic to the right. Okay, so that's very important. So when you see that sign, go ahead and remember that. That way you can go ahead and get the answer easily. Another one that you're going to see on your test possibly is this sign right here. Now this sign is what I call the a lane is about to merge with your lane sign. A lot of times you see this on freeways, especially when you have an on-ramp that doesn't turn into an exit lane. So the ramp itself is going to merge with your lane. So you really want to look out for traffic that are merging in with yours when the lane itself becomes part of your lane. So you're approaching a point where other traffic lanes come together with the one you're in. Watch for traffic from that direction. All right. Let's see here. What other signs we might see? Of course, dips. I always tell my students, you always got to respect the dips and the bumps. Dip, of course, lets you know that there's a low place in the road. Anytime you travel fast on a low place, you're going to bottom out your car. It's going to cause all types of damage. You're going to see, hit that oil pan on the bottom. You may get oil leaks, and it's going to definitely ruin your shocks and your struts. So you always want to respect the dips and the bumps. But this one right here, of course, it's easy. It says dip. But what does dip mean? It means there is actually a low place in the road, so you got to be careful. You want to slow down for that. This one right here kind of looks like an hourglass, where you see right in the middle where you have the road narrows. So this right here is the narrow bridge sign. Okay, so anytime you approach this, you see this sign up ahead. There's going to be a narrow bridge. There's no shoulder. There's no emergency shoulder for you to use. And of course, going over a bridge, it's a hazard in itself, so you got to be extra careful. But when you see this sign, just know that the bridge ahead is not as wide as the road. Slow down and use caution. Let's see here. What other signs you may see on your test? Some of the ones I've seen a lot is this one right here. This one kind of looks like a black and yellow candy cane. They use this to mark the ends of rails as you approach bridges. So it lets you know where the rail begins, and that way if you ever lose traction or you need to move off to the road, that's where the railing begins. So you definitely want to be careful of that. Another sign you may see is this one right here, the truck, picture of a truck and the hazard warning sign. What this means is that up ahead there's a crossing where trucks are known to cross. So you definitely want to slow down, look for different directions as you approach the intersection or the crossing where trucks are known to pass, and use that extra caution. Let's see here, shoulder drop off. This one you may see on your road test or your road signs test. It just lets you know that the shoulder on the road has a major drop off, so you definitely want to be careful. You could definitely look at some videos that show you how to, if you ever find yourself in a situation where your wheel actually hits the edge of that shoulder and drops off, how to get back on the road safely, because you don't want to just swerve your car. Let's see here. Bump. So dip and bumps are usually on your road signs test. So a bump is the opposite of a dip. Anytime you see a bump, warning sign, it lets you know that there's a rise in the road. And same thing, you want to slow down, because if not, you're going to ruin the undercarriage of your car. You're going to ruin your shocks, your struts, and it's going to cost you money. You know, you don't get a ticket for going too fast over a bump, but you're definitely going to get a big bill from your mechanic. So definitely respect the bump. But if you see this on the test, it just means that there's a sudden high place in the road ahead. Slow down in order to avoid a jolt. All right, let's keep going. Stop sign is pretty obvious, and of course the shape is an octagon. What do you do when you see stop? Of course, definitely you stop, but you want to stop behind the white line. Now, if there is no white line, you want to stop your whole vehicle. You want to make sure it's behind the pole itself, because if any part of your car is in front of the pole when you come to a complete stop, you officially ran that stop sign. So you don't ever want to get a ticket for something as small as just a bit of your car stopping after a part of your car has crossed that sign. So you got to be careful. Right here, also on let's see here, page 33, advisory speed sign. Now this little square right here is your advisory speed sign. Anytime you see this sign, it lets you know that there's a curve up ahead, and you definitely need to slow down to that speed in order to maneuver it safely. So be prepared to see this sign on your test. Slow traffic, keep right, pretty obvious. Anytime you're on a multi-lane highway, slow traffic is always to the right. Faster traffic is always to the left. So just know what to do when you see this sign, and know how to answer it. It's really easy. Another one you may see is this one right here on the very bottom. This one lets you know that there's a median up ahead, and usually you want to stay right to the median. So it says drive to the right of this sign. This sign is used in advance of islands and medians. So a median, of course, is a separation of opposing lanes, and it's a physical object. Do not enter. This sign you may see on your road test. Now, the actual road signs test, when you see a sign like this, sometimes they'll try to trick you, and they'll just give you a scenario. Like, for instance, when seeing this sign, what are your two options? Obviously, the only place you can go is either to your right or to your left. You can't drive forward, and you can't drive backwards on a one-way street. So you definitely either want to turn left or right when seeing this sign. Yield sign, we see this one of the more abundant signs that we see, but a lot of people just really don't know what yield means. Yield is basically means that you give someone the right to occupy a space. So when two cars come in contact with each other, in that space where they made contact, one had a right to it and one didn't, and the one that didn't had to yield. So when you see this sign, it lets you know that before merging into traffic, you got to yield to traffic already on the road. So be ready for this sign on your road signs test. And of course, it reads: this sign tells you the road you are on joins with another road ahead. You should slow down or stop if necessary, so you can yield the right of way to vehicles, pedestrians, or bicycles already on the road. All right. Let's see here. What other signs we may see that students a lot of times miss? This one right here on the very bottom on the left hand, form one line left. It lets you know that the road up ahead is merging into one lane. It'll tell you which lane to get into. So in this particular case, it's the left lane. So be ready for this sign on your road signs test if you see it. Don't get confused by it. All right. This one right here, Texas 235, is another sign you may see. 235 just lets you know that you're on a Texas highway. And of course the number 235, it's an odd number, so odd numbers of course go north and south, and of course even numbers go east and west. And this thing right here, the two arrows pointing in the two different directions, you're basically coming up to a T intersection, and you either take a left or a right, but that's the road you're going to be turning on. Another one you're going to see is like the loop sign, loop 270. A loop is an inner city highway, so like loop 610 in Houston. It's just a highway that goes in a circle around the city, and it just loops. The beginning connects with the end, and it just keeps going as long as you stay on it. All right, of course, railroad signs, real easy, circle, and sometimes an X. Let's go ahead and look at the markings on the road, pavement markings. Markings, of course, yellow. What does yellow mean? It means the lane that it separates is going in different directions. White means that the lane it separates is going in the same direction. If you see it dotted, dotted means you're allowed to pass over. If it's solid, it means you're not allowed to pass. So it doesn't matter what color it is. If it's solid, you can't pass. If it's dotted, you can. And of course, the color just means what direction is the lane next to you going. So if it's white, it's going in your direction. If it's yellow, it's going in the opposite direction. And of course, if you see a double yellow line, it means both sides of traffic are not able to cross. All right, let's keep going. What other things we may see on the road signs test? Down here we have construction signs. So you may see detour, you may see flag man 500 feet. But just know if you see an orange sign, you know it's going to be a construction zone sign. And if you see a picture of a flag man, of course it's diamond shaped, it's hazard. It lets you know how many feet away you're going to be experiencing that. And a flag man, of course, directs traffic. So be prepared for that. All right. This pretty much covers what you might see on your road signs test. So I'm going to go ahead and present to you some of the signs you may see, and you can quiz with the teacher you have there. Good luck.